and welcome to RTF Sports Talk. I am Michael Buckheister, the host of today's show here, joined as always with my man, Marcus. Marcus, how's it going today?
Pretty good, Michael. Been off for a couple of days, so we're ready to get back at it.
Yeah, we've been off for a couple days, Marcus, because RTF is kind of going through a rebranding phase here, and it's going to become the Marcus and Mike show. So, our two beautiful faces on here on YouTube Live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, right around 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. The YouTube channel is not going to change. It's just going to change names. The iTunes links, iHeartRadio links, none of that is going to change. It's still going to be the same, just a rename, just a rebranding thing, just to kind of, because it's the Mike and Marcus show now. It is no longer RTF Sports Talk. Mike and Marcus, all day, well, not all day, for an hour and a half or so, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. But Marcus, as always, we're going to start today's show with a little baseball talk, because it's that time of year. It's springtime. So last night the Mariners played, and they finally ended their 20-game home run streak. They had 20 straight games to start the season with a home run. That ended last night.
Amazing.
And quite frankly, I'm kind of sad to see it go. Oh no, because these early season runs and stuff, it definitely makes baseball exciting to watch. But the Mariners did lose last night to the Indians, 1-0. They only had 3 total hits. It was definitely a snore fest out there in Seattle for that game. My Kansas City Royals did beat the White Sox last night 4-3 in a 10 inning. So some free baseball. But Marcus, there was a little brawl at the end, toward the end of that game. There, a home run was hit, a bat flip happened, and the Royals pitcher did not take too kindly to that. So, as a casual baseball fan like you are you okay with them fighting, with kind of showing each other up?
Well, look, I am part of that old school, but one of the old school rules I think that has to be broken is that you can't showboat a little bit when you hit a home run. I mean, dude, there's nothing wrong with showboating a little bit. Listen, you hit a home run. That's what's this? It's one of the hardest things to do in sports,
right,
to hit a home run. I know people do it all the time, but the guy Anderson for the White Sox hit a home run. He flipped the bat, and the Kansas City Royals pitcher went crazy, and they had a little brawl there. And so what? I mean, if you don't want him to hit a home run, you don't want him to showboat, then don't throw him anything to hit right down the middle. Don't give up any home runs, and you'll be just fine. So I'm in the new school in that regard. I remember a few years ago. Yeah, I remember a few years ago, Brian McCann got mad at God, what was the player's name? It was Delgado or something. I'm not sure, but Brian McCann was really upset and said, "You're not good enough to showboat." But hey, he hit a home run. There's nothing wrong with it. Just don't let him hit home runs. Pitch better,
right?
And he won't show you up.
Yeah, well, just to kind of add to your point there, because the Royals and White Sox are division foes, they will play each other 26, 27 more times. So there's always that tension there. So I feel like if it was any other team that's not in the division, if it was the Rockies that did that, or the Braves, or the Mariners, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But since it is a division foe, you don't want to get shown up by a division foe, and right. I think that's probably why he was thrown at, because a game on, I think it was Tuesday, maybe Monday, the Reds hit a home run versus the Giants. It was a walk-off win, and the guy from the Reds flipped the bat. And I made a comment on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, at mbuck41, Marcus is at Marcus the Freak. And I made a comment hey, is there going to be a retaliation? And the common answer was no, because they're not a division rivalry. Now, if it was the Reds versus the Pirates, I bet you 3 or 4 people would have got hit the very next game. So I definitely understand your point of view and the new school point of view, but at the same time, I do like the baseball's unwritten rules. So you don't show up a division foe you kind of hustle around the bases when you do hit a nice home run. You don't walk and that kind of thing. I don't know. It's just the what's the word I'm looking for here? It's just the way it is.
Act like you've done it before, right?
Right. That's why Barry Sanders never spiked the ball because he always was raised to act like you've done that before. He done it many times, many great times. But not to get too deep into that.
And let me tell you something. If I hit a home run, I'd probably dance to every base. You know what? I think if I'd probably slide to every base, get a little muddy. I think I'd make you wait a couple of minutes before I hit home plate.
And then the very next game,
I know what you're saying though. Act like you've done it before.
And the very next play, Marcus is on IR with a hurt elbow because he got hit.
Yeah, that's right. You're gonna throw 100 right at me, right?
Right. And just some more scores from last night. The Yankees did beat the Red Sox 5-3. Two terrible ball clubs. They have 14 wins combined between the two of them. That's
man. The Red Sox, man. It's early, but they're horrible.
Yep. So
and I don't know what's going on with Chris Sale, the pitcher. I mean, is that his twin brother? I mean, that's pitching for him because it doesn't look like the same person.
Right. I don't know. It's hopefully this streak continues because my Kansas City Royals do play the Yankees tonight. And the Royals have the worst record in baseball when leading by multiple runs. We are 5-5 when leading by multiple runs. So just a little fun fact there. But we do have the Yankees number. We seem to usually play well against the Yankees here. But nonetheless, Marcus, that's our little baseball talk for today. Let's move over to the NBA playoffs. Since we've been gone, as Kelly Clarkson likes to say, there's been quite a few games, really, really good games. Golden State gave up a 31-point lead, the largest comeback by the Clippers in NBA history. I think that date back to 2001 because that's when the Alliance Sports officially started taking those type of stats. Then we had some other great games, but tonight we have 3 games happening. We have Philly versus Brooklyn. That series is tied 1-1. You have Denver versus San Antonio. That series is tied 1-1 as well. And very, very surprised, Golden State taking on the Clippers as well. And that series is tied 1-1. All 3 games are game 3s tonight. That was kind of a tongue twister there. So we're going to go ahead and start with Philadelphia at Brooklyn. For one, who do you have winning this game, and who's the player to watch for?
I think the Nets. I originally picked the 76ers in 7. I think the Nets get them tonight. It's always to me the odd number games. So game 1, game 3, game 5, game 7. To me, they're always the most important,
right? Because
they're tone setters, and they're what those kind of the odd number games are. They're season series. Changing games. In other words, if it's 1-1, whoever wins game 3, you get control back of the series. And then it's a lot of pressure on that team to win game 4. And if you don't, then the series is over. And then if it's 2-2, whoever wins game 5 in the NBA, I think they have like a 75 or 74% winning percentage that they go on and win the series. Whoever goes up 3-2 wins that game 5. So these odd number games are real serious. I'd like to see, I don't know what the numbers are when it's 1-1, whoever goes up 2-1. They probably win the series probably more than 60% of the time, I would imagine, because you gain control of the series. Now, that being said, I still think the 76ers are going to win this series. So game 3 is really interesting. I think the Nets get them here. Or it's going to be a real close game. I don't think that the 76ers scoring a ridiculous amount of points like to open out the second half of game 2. I think that was a little fool's gold. I think the Nets were just a little happy and happy to be in that situation. I think the Nets play them really tough. These games are going to be really close. I think the Nets will get them here in game 3 tonight. Player to watch, man. Dinwiddie and Russell, to me, they just look really comfortable. They look like they're getting to their spots, getting shots they want. They look really good. Philadelphia, their player to watch is Ben Simmons. He has got to take his 6'9" self and get down in the box and start posting up because they're just daring him to shoot. And he's got to shoot over the top of Dinwiddie and Russell, those guys that are shorter than him, guys that are guarding him, Harris, whoever's on him, LeVert. Ben Simmons has the height advantage. And so there's some times where he's got to get down in that low post and score on him. And Tobias Harris woke up a little bit, but I still have the Sixers winning the series, but I think the Nets get them tonight, and it's going to be very interesting. Nobody's blowing anybody out when it's at the net. I don't think the Nets blow the 76ers out either. I think this game comes down to the wire. I think the Nets get them.
Yeah, and I hear everything you were saying, and we all were really high on the Nets after that after that game 1 win, and then everything kind of came crashing back down to reality after that, and I think that kind of trend continues. And after that first game, I was real quick to recant my Philadelphia in 5. I was honestly scared. I'm like, man, the Nets are going to sweep these guys. But then the 76ers came out and they played well. Joel Embiid, I think, scored 28 points in that game 2 win. The team kind of settled into their own, and they kind of flexed their muscle a little bit, saying, "Hey, we're still the top dog here. You are we're still the 3 seed. You are still the 6 seed. You guys are young. You have a lot to prove here." And I know that Brooklyn fans are going to be hyped tonight. Brooklyn as a team is going to be hyped tonight. So I think they're just being hyped alone. They're going to exert so much energy in that second quarter that they are going to be shooting bad. It's going to be a really ugly first quarter. And Philadelphia, they've been there, they've done that type of thing. They know how to handle those hype situations, and they're going to jump out to a quick 10 to 12 point lead. And I think they're going to pretty much maintain that all night. The Nets might make a little bit of run, maybe scrappy a little bit in the fourth quarter, but push comes to shove, I think Philadelphia comes out on top.
Embiid is the key to every game, in my opinion.
100%.
Because if Embiid is going the way he goes, and if he's rolling, and like I said, he gets you the 30 points and 15 rebounds and 3 blocks and all that, Philly will win this game in a close one. Joel Embiid is the only top 10 player in the NBA on the court in this series. I mean, Butler is in maybe that 15 range, Tobias Harris in that 20 range, and I like Dinwiddie and those guys, but those guys are in that 30 to 50 range, like of best NBA players on the court.
Right.
Ben Simmons is not even, to me, in the top 10. Ben Simmons is in that 15, 16, 17, 20 range. Joel Embiid is the only legitimate player on this court for both teams that you could put in the top 10 NBA, might even be top 8. When he's going, he has no weakness. Like I told you, he can take you in the post. He can shoot threes. When he's healthy, block shots. I mean, he's the real deal. If he's going, 76ers will win this series. But if it's all on Embiid, if he's a little hobbled tonight and it doesn't look like he can go, or he gets hurt and you see him go to the sidelines and throw the towel and because his knee's bothering him or back bothering him,
right,
then the Nets can legitimately beat this team. And then I really didn't like they had like a post-game press conference and Embiid's laughing at what he did to one of the Nets players. I think it was Carter Williams or somebody. Yeah, I mean, he's just acting like kids, him and Ben Simmons. And I think the Nets are going to take that to heart tonight. And I think the Nets, that's why I say I think the Nets get this game 3 with emotion. You mentioned earlier, Michael, the crowd's going to be involved. That's going to be an awesome crowd.
Yep.
They probably won't sit down much during the whole game. So I think the Nets get them in game 3 tonight on emotion and talent, but on a lot of motion.
Right. And let me hit on Simmons real quick here. I saw a tweet, I believe it was from Carter himself, from the Nets.
Yeah.
He said, Simmons is the best player on a fast break in the open court. When you get him one-on-one half court, he is a below average player. And I think he nailed that right on the head by that quote.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any really lies.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't even see any lies in that tweet.
Yep.
That's why I'm saying 6'9" Ben Simmons, for him to be really effective, he's got to post up.
Yeah.
And so, people compare him to LeBron all the time. Well, LeBron can't shoot. They're both like 6'9". I think Simmons is a little taller than LeBron. But the difference between Simmons and LeBron is LeBron is a little more explosive athlete, can go by you and dunk on you better than Simmons. Simmons is a little bit more magic-y, not better athlete than Magic Johnson, but not the athlete LeBron James is. We got to stop that talk about when you compare them. LeBron was much more explosive.
Right.
LeBron could go to LeBron will blow by you and dunk on you 5 times in a row. Simmons isn't doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoever said that must have been not on their right mind when they were talking.
I understand why he said that. They're a little similar because they're like 6'9" point guards, but yeah, LeBron a little more explosive.
Okay, so I'm 6'4", so JJ Redick is 6'4" too, so we are just alike too, right? I mean, we're both white. We're both 6'4".
Hey, you might be a better athlete than JJ Redick.
Yeah, but he can shoot lights out, though. He can shoot lights out.
Yeah, he can shoot the lights out, but Redick isn't this great athlete. I wonder if JJ Redick's ever dunked in an NBA game.
I've never seen that.
That's something that I've never seen that. Maybe there is video of that. I tell you what, I was 5'11" with shoes on, and in my heyday, I could jump up there and I could nip the rim.
Right.
So if I was 6'4", I know I could dunk. Now I can't do it now, obviously.
Right.
But 5'11", if you can barely touch that rim, and I could touch it. I could touch the rings, where the net goes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about if I was 6'2", I might be able to dunk it. So yeah, JJ, if you're 6'4", you should be able to dunk it. I wonder if JJ's dunked it. That's weird. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, even watching it, he played for Duke, right? Yeah, like even watching him like at Duke, I don't think I ever seen him dunk either. Like he was always just like on a fast break, he would just toss it up there. So
I don't want to totally equate jumping with just with athletic ability in terms of that's it. I mean, yeah, you were kind of freezing for a little while.
Yeah, our system crashed on us, so we should be back live. If you guys are still watching us on the live feed, sorry about the little mishap that we had there, but we are back streaming again. Basically, what Marcus was saying, he said Bruce Bolden was the best athlete of all time for the San Antonio Spurs, right?
No, he's a good athlete because he had to run through screens and chase the NBA's best players for 40 minutes a night. So I didn't want to totally equate athleticism with jumping ability.
Right.
Bruce Bolden was a pretty good athlete.
But you still have to be a good athlete to be able to jump 100%.
Absolutely.
So you had the Nets winning tonight. I have the Sixers winning tonight. One of us shall be right. So moving on to the next game here, kind of the most intriguing matchup of the night, I think. Maybe not. You have Denver Nuggets take on the San Antonio Spurs, 1-1 series lead. I believe the Spurs gave up a 19-point lead Tuesday night, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then the Denver Nuggets came back and tied it up 1-1. So who you got winning tonight and player to watch?
Well, I got the Spurs winning tonight. I mean, if you look at this series closely, the Spurs, if you didn't know any better, the Spurs look like the 2 seed and the Denver Nuggets look like the 7 seed for about 6.5 quarters of these 8 quarters so far. The Nuggets have come alive in the last quarter and a half, and mainly Jamal Murray came alive. And it took a heroic effort by Jamal Murray, which we knew he had in him. He's had some 50-point games, 40-point games, a bunch of 30-point games. This guy can score. There's a reason he was the 7th pick in the draft last year, a couple years ago. This guy's the real deal. I mean, he can shoot lights out. So that wasn't completely unexpected. But the Spurs have controlled this series for 6.5 quarters, and they let a quarter and a half get away, and that let that get away to a 1-1. That made that into a 1-1 series. I expect the Spurs to take control here of the series and win this game 3. I would think they could win this thing by at least 10, but you never know because the Nuggets are very dangerous. I like the Nuggets. They have guys that can shoot it. This is not Jamal Murray. I think Will Barton hasn't made his appearance known in this series yet. And this guy, Will Barton's a hell of a player. Gary Harris too. Gary Harris actually had a pretty good game the other day, but it still took the effort of a great effort by Murray to save the team. But Gary Harris is really capable of exploding too. So Spurs have to be careful. They've done a good job on Jokic defensively. Spurs have to be just very wary of that, of Jokic, because the problem with Jokic, and I don't understand, I'd love to talk to Coach Malone about this one day, is I think Jokic could be a better offensive player. And he doesn't, he's more of a facilitator, in this series because the Spurs are doing a good job, obviously defensively. But Jokic is passing up on some shots. He passed up on a lot of shots game one. Shots I'd like to see him take. So I'd want Jokic to be more aggressive if I was the Nuggets. But I think the Spurs take control of this series. The player to watch tonight is Rudy Gay. He's been garbage for the Spurs. Part of the reason the Spurs lost the other game is because Rudy Gay didn't show up. I think he had one driving layup. Great, beautiful. This guy is a career 18 points per game. Rudy Gay's a career 18 points per game scorer in this league, and he's basically, I hate to use this word though, it's a lot of social media people use it, but yeah, he was trash. I have to admit they're right on this one. And so Rudy Gay's got to show up. He's got to be that third scorer behind DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, and Derek White once in a while will be that third scorer, and Derek White was that in game two, but it just wasn't enough. They needed Rudy Gay they needed his presence to score at least 15 points, and they're going to need Rudy Gay tonight to win this one. I'll go out on a limb. I think the Spurs are going to win, but if Rudy Gay does another 2-for-9 game or 2-for-7 or and not really a factor, this game's going to come down to the wire again, and we'll see what happens because the Nuggets can hit big shots in big moments. I'm not really scared of. I don't think they're scared of that situation. So we'll find out a lot tonight. Well, you're going to find. That's why I love game threes and game fives. Because you really find a lot about the players in those odd games, to the odd number of games. So game three is it's another tone setter. You got to. It would really scare me if the Nuggets took control of the series and went up 2-1. Now the Spurs are playing catch up, and now they've lost home court again.
Right.
So I think the Spurs win tonight, and we need a player to watch. We need Rudy Gay to come alive for at least 15 points.
Yeah. I like everything that you said there. Except for the whole Jurek thing for the Denver. I think he is doing what he needs to do for his team to win. They just haven't been hitting shots. If the Spurs are going to take his scoring threat away, and like he is getting the ball out to guys to score, and they've had open looks. It's just they're just not hitting the shots. So a player to watch to a night. I like your Rudy Gay, but I want a Spurs starter to really shine to a night. So either is that Aldridge or DeRozan. I don't know. Either one. Both of them need to step up at some point, but one of them tonight, I think that is really all they need. Because I think tonight is a must win for Denver. If they lose this first game in San Antonio, they are not going to win game 4 there, and then they have to come home, win 2 games there. And they still have to steal one in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I think game 3 is the only one they'll be able to steal from them in San Antonio. Yeah.
Denver hasn't won in San Antonio since 2012. So they don't have success there very often. So let's hope that keeps up. Yeah. And also all time, I know it really doesn't matter, but all time the Spurs have destroyed Denver in the playoffs and regular season. It's the numbers tilt way to the Spurs, and like I said, when you haven't won in a place since 2012, it's got to be in your psyche a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, even though probably none of these players were on those teams since 2012,
right.
But it's still a cultural thing. It is in the back of your head, and they've been hearing it on sports talk radio. They've been hearing it on ESPN like I bet for the last 2, 3, 4 days. So that right there is a very, very good stat, and I did not know that actually. So that's actually a really good one. We need to definitely look at that. So see how they come out early. Like, do they come up trying to force shots, or do they come out and play loose like they were in game 2 when Spurs only scored 8 points in that third quarter? But nonetheless, I am picking the Spurs tonight. I don't see them losing at home. Just like you said, if you didn't know the seed, you would think the Spurs are the top seed. And I think they are the better team on the court night in and night out. And that one bad quarter did give Denver a little bit of confidence, but a little bit of confidence is not going to win a 7-game series. I still like the Spurs. in 6 games because I don't see it going back to Denver for Game 7. Spurs will win it in 6 at home on that one. So we are going to take a quick break here, give a little love to our advertisements here, and on the other side of the break, we have one more game to talk about. Probably the most intriguing series to date so far, Clippers and Golden State. So we'll be right back. Let that sit for a second. Play the intro. And welcome back to RTF Sports Talk, a.k.a. Marcus and Mike. Just Marcus, we're going to jump right into it, man. Golden State and LA Clippers. This it's kind of been a dogfight the first 2 games. Golden State gave up a 31-point lead in Game 2. Clippers came back and won. Kind of shocking to everybody. I actually made a tweet about it. It was middle of the third quarter with like five minutes left to go. 31-point game. I'm like, well, this is a snoozer. And I go back and for like a meeting and then come back up, and they're only down by 10. And I was like, oh crap! I actually sent you a message. I'm like, hey, are you watching this game? Are you seeing what is happening right now? And
I stopped watching when it was 99-78 or something.
Yeah,
I quit watching. And then when you messaged me, I was thinking about the show, or I was thinking about something else, and you said Clippers are on a comeback. I was like, what? and then I turned the TV, and there it was. It was a comeback. Yeah,
like I don't know if the Golden State got complacent in that third quarter, kind of put on cruise control, but I think they scored like 10 points in the fourth quarter. Like they went a 6-minute stretch like without scoring. It was really ugly for the Golden State. Really great for the Clippers. Kevin Durant ended up fouling out. Beverly ended up fouling out as well. As soon as Beverly fouled out, I thought the Clippers were done, but they stepped up and they won the game to get the series tied 1-1. But they do play 10-2 tonight here, so keep in fashion here. Who do you got winning? Player to watch and some insights.
Well, this is I still think Golden State's going to take control and win this thing. I'd be kind of surprised if the Clippers won here. But that being said, I mean, the Clippers are going to bring it tonight. I mean, this is not some gimme, we'll just show up, because Golden State already tried that, and look what happened. It was a 31-point game comeback. Golden State got completely lackadaisical. They quit playing defense. Then it became just a little street ball game, and Klay Thompson couldn't throw it in the ocean, and Durant's worried about a guy who's a little bit taller than me, which is absolutely insane. So I don't know what's going on there. It shows you the weakness of Kevin Durant.
Weak-minded.
I think he's a punk. I mean, but Stephen Curry almost brought him back. He hit the big 3 to make it 131-128, and he's the one that makes this engine go. And man, I tell you right now, this is going on something else, kind of a little bit here. I would never let Stephen Curry beat me. I don't care. I'd have Durant could tie Wilt Chamberlain with 100 points.
Yep.
Because I would take Curry out of the game. Curry's the one with the heart on that team. Curry's the one that's not afraid. And so I would take Curry right out of this game. I'd double him, trap him on pick and rolls, everything you can think of. But you know what? The player I love to watch here is Montrezl Harrell for the Clippers.
Yes.
That guy is a beast down low. Like I would tell everybody, I don't even need the ball. If I'm Montrezl Harrell, I tell everybody, hey, just start shooting them up, and I'm gonna go crash the boards. I'm gonna get every offensive rebound, and I'm gonna put it back in. I'm gonna dunk, throw me some alley-oops. There is nobody physically on the Golden State Warriors that can match Montrezl Harrell. Nobody.
Especially with Cousins out with that.
I mean, not old ass Bogut is not going to mess with me either.
No.
Durant gets down there. I'll use my pinky and push him out of the way. Looney is too slight. Klay Thompson will get an elbow and he'll never come back.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I would control the paint if I'm Montrezl Harrell. I tell my guys, and let me reiterate, just shoot them up. I will grab the rebound. I'm lay it in. I'm going to dunk on everybody. So Montrezl Harrell, he's having a fun time in the series
Yeah, he is.
because even though he may lose the series, nobody can match him physicality wise unless they go get Debo. They signed Debo for the series. So yeah, so I would have a fun time if I'm Montrezl Harrell. That's fun. And man, is Lou Williams awesome or what? I mean, he is. You know, he's like a poor man's Curry a little bit, but man, he is. They call him Sweet Lou. Like I tell you right now, every time he gets an 18-footer, like he drives a little bit, comes off the pick and roll, or shoots up over the top of his defender, I think it's going in. Almost every time he shoots it, I think Lou Williams is going to make it. And I'll tell you right now, we talked about a week ago, Kawhi Leonard, even though he's got his own thing to worry about, I'm sitting there watching Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams and Doc Rivers and the guards that they have there at the Clipperland. I can't. I've already got my bags packed for Clipperland to go play with Lou Williams. Even though Lou Williams is on the backside of his career, he's 32 years old. Right. Lou Williams has enough in the tank where if they add me to the mix in the next couple of years, we can make some championship runs. And I trust Doc Rivers and that coaching staff and Jerry West and that organization to pick the right players to help me win a championship. And Clippers are a perfect landing spot for Kawhi Leonard. And Landry Shamet, one of my players to watch. Did you see him? He hit the 3-pointer, the rookie. Uh-huh. I trust. He's one of those players we talked about last week. I trust Landry Shamet with the game on the line. Okay, he's one of those guys that once he gets rolling, he won't miss. So I mean, if the Clippers were playing anybody else but the Warriors, man, I might favor the Clippers the way their mentality is, the way they're attacking, the way Doc Rivers has them playing. But they're playing the Warriors, so I think the Warriors win tonight. But this is going to be close games. I don't think the Warriors are. I don't think they're going to be up by 31 anymore the rest of the series. I think all these games are going to be close. Now the Warriors might pull away at the end and win by 10, but I'm talking about these things are going to be like 7 minutes left, 90 to 95.
Yep.
And then the Warriors, how the cream rises to the top, they'll pull away at the end. And everybody always talks about the Warriors play this great defense and all that. Me and my son talk about this all the time. They don't. What the Warriors do, Michael, is they play great defense in spurts. Right. They turn it off and on better than any NBA team I've ever seen. I've seen the Kobe Shaq Lakers sometimes would turn it off and on, but not like these guys. These guys can go an entire series turning it off and on. No better evidence of that was last year's Western Conference Final when a couple of times the Rockets had the Warriors down by 20, and the Warriors came back not only to tie it up, but to beat them by 15.
Right.
So the Warriors almost sometimes just played with the Rockets. It's the most amazing how the Warriors can just turn it off and on, and then it's almost like they get everybody ready to go, and they go, okay, you guys ready to play some defense now? And so they play defense in spurts, and then that gets their offense going, and then that's how they kill people. They don't play defense for 48 minutes. Otherwise, if they did, you wouldn't see a lot of the high scores that teams put on the Warriors. The Warriors play defense in spurts, and I think they turn it off and on better than anybody I've ever seen in NBA history, to be honest. But I think they'll win tonight. The cream will rise to the top. They'll win this game. It's going to be a close game. They'll win this game by 10 points, the Warriors.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that you just said there, but the switch did not work in the third quarter or in the fourth quarter in game 2. I don't know if it was kind of flickering off and on just a tad bit, but they just could not hit a shot to save their life in that fourth quarter, and I think that kind of mess with their psyche just like a tad bit. So they are going to try to play a full 48 minutes tonight just to show the Clippers that they are the dominant team. And with that being said, I think it's going to be a blowout game, 20-point game, just because they have something to prove. They do not want to be the team that gave up the biggest lead in like NBA history and to lose. And they want to hey, we're still the Golden State Warriors. We're still going to win the finals, even though Cousins is hurt. They want to win it for him. They have kind of gone like as a team saying, hey, Cousins is our man. We are winning it for him, which is kind of cool. Even though Cousins has only been there for he's been on the roster for 2 months playing. I think right around Valentine's Day is when he came back. But just like you said, I do not want Steph Curry to beat me. So the way Beverly is playing defense against KD, why not switch him over to Steph and just shut Steph down, get in Steph's head? We've seen Steph Curry get mad. He will throw his mouthpiece into the 6th row. He will get teed up and he'll get tossed. And that's the only way the Clippers are going to be able to even have a chance in this series is if they get a player tossed early and possibly suspension for game 5 or 6. So it's kind of like pick your poison. Who do you want to get tossed out? I would say, I would say attack Steph Curry. Put Beverly on Steph Curry. Get in Steph Curry's head. Hit him shoot those half-court shots. If he makes a couple, awesome. Still get up in his face. Get him mad. Get him teed up.
I think the message at Park Oral that somebody goes into their laundry rooms to steal or to get their clothes back, period, after I locked them.
And welcome back to RTF Sports Talk, guys. I am Michael Buckheiser, and I do have the internet fixed now. We had a big old storm rolling through, so we hooked up the secondary internet, and hopefully we should be good to go now for a little while. No more spitter spattering out and whatnot. But playoff talk is over. We Marcus and myself, just to recap the picks here. Marcus had the Nets, had the Sixers winning. We both had the Spurs winning. We had Golden State winning tonight as well. All game 3 matchups, all series tied 1-1 apiece. So kind of a swing game for most people in these series. So Marcus, let's totally switch gears here. Let's switch it into overdrive. NFL draft starts next Thursday, the 25th.
Can't wait.
There's been a lot of before on Tuesday's show. We missed Tuesday's show. There was rumors of Russell Wilson going to the New York Giants. Clearly, that isn't going to happen. Russell Wilson is saying in Seattle now he's the highest paid quarterback in the league, or the player in the league. I should say. So, Marcus, you are the general manager of the New York Giants. What do you do with your pick? Are you going for a quarterback? Are you trading up? Are you trading down? What would you do if you were the GM right now of the New York Giants?
Listen, people maybe have not heard me talk on this subject a lot. I think Eli Manning is an average quarterback and has been an average quarterback his entire career. So I've always looked to replace Eli Manning. I don't no idea what the Giants organization are doing. He had the Super Bowl runs, which is fine. I think that's why they keep him. The fans went in an outpour after they wanted to bench him that one time, and it was just ridiculous. I thought the New York Giants fans were smarter than that. They can see that this guy's been digressing for many years. I don't even think he was that great in his heyday, to be honest. This man is responsible for 306 in his career. Ready for these numbers?
Ready.
For 367 touchdowns, right? 363 turnovers. What does that tell you? He also wins 50% of his games. He's also lost more games than anybody in NFL history. So I don't know what the attraction is. This man is a turnover machine. He's led the league in interceptions a bunch of times. He can't even get his career, or actually he just did this past year, his career completion percentage to 60%, which is unfathomable. I don't know what the Giants they're thinking. I look to get a quarterback with this 6th pick. I mean, yes, I know this is or you're going to have to trade that 17th pick. They have the 6th and 17th picks. If they're in love with a defensive player, like a an Ed Oliver or Montez Sweat at the 6th pick, okay, fine. But because you want to take the best player available. But you have the 17th pick, and that's a luxury. That gives you some flexibility. You better jump ahead of Denver to go to 9. Jump ahead of Denver to go to 9, or you got to jump ahead of the Washington Redskins at 15 because they're probably going to take a quarterback as well. You got to jump ahead of them at 14 and get Atlanta's pick and have Atlanta move down, jump ahead of the Redskins. You've got to come away with a quarterback in this draft, whether it's Daniel Jones. If you're in love with him, there's a little connection there with David Cutcliffe and Daniel Jones and the Manning family. That's a possibility. But if it was me running the draft, there's no way I would have my scouts tell me who is the better quarterback, Drew Lock or Dwayne Haskins. And if my scouts come back and tell me that Drew Lock is the better player, I'm taking him at 6. If they come back and tell me that Dwayne Haskins is the better quarterback, I'm taking Dwayne Haskins at 6. I think the heck with all this stuff. You have got to find a quarterback to replace Eli Manning. And so I would do that at 6. But like I said, the flexibility with the 17th pick is kind of fun because you can take one of these great defensive players at 6, and then you can have your 17th pick and you can maneuver that around for a quarterback. So regardless of whether or not they take the quarterback at 6 or the quarterback at 17, or they move up from 17 to 9, or move up from 17 to 14 to move ahead of the Redskins, they've got to come away with a quarterback right here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with more of what you're saying, but I think they should have got a quarterback last year. They should have primed. Yeah. They should have primed a quarterback last year to take Eli's spot this year, and like now I think they're behind that 8 ball 100%. But with you saying like on that sixth pick that if they are in love with a defensive player, they should take that. I think that is wrong. Just because there's something about quarterbacks. They always move up in the draft, and defensive players always move down in the draft. It is something captivating about getting a quarterback in the like in the top part of the draft. So like Haskins for example, he is. I think he's ranked like the 30th player on overall, the 4th ranked quarterback. But he will still probably go in the top 10 because teams are all about quarterbacks. They want to get their quarterback. They think defensive players, they will usually slide down. Offensive linemen usually slide down. So with that 6th pick, I would definitely be looking quarterback 100%. If it's Locke or Jones or even Haskins, I don't think Kyler Murray will fall down to that sixth spot, like unless the Cardinals are just like don't get him. They're set on Drew, and then the other couple teams there don't want a quarterback either, because if you second pick you have 49ers, then you have the Jets, Oakland, and then Tampa Bay.
Yes,
that per every mock draft that I've seen, they're going defensive side off the ball, and that makes sense. They all have quarterbacks. So if Arizona doesn't take Kyler, you could definitely be seeing some big trades happening in that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 range to jump up and get him. So Giants definitely have to get a quarterback at the 6th pick, because I don't think those top 4 quarterbacks will fall down to that 16th pick. So,
yeah, Arizona's not showing their hand.
No, which is great. That's a great move.
Yeah. Now that being said, though, there was a video that came out earlier today that previewed their team, and it didn't have Josh Rosen a part of it. So this is the first time where they've kind of wavered on not showing their hand. It looks like they're probably going to take Kyler. I would have never come out with that video. I don't know what they're doing. They were doing well up until today.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. That would be very intriguing if they didn't take Kyler Murray, because then where does Kyler Murray fall? Yeah. Then that puts the ball in the Raiders' court, because the Raiders, are they going to stick with David Carr, or are they going to take Kyler Murray? That would be really – the draft would be if Kyler Murray's not – Bosa goes number 1. That's right. The first big of the draft, and that's the number 1 pick. But that being said, I think Kyler Murray's going number 1. And they're going to find a home for Josh Rosen. if I was Josh Rosen, I would try to dictate where I go. I'd literally have my agent call the San Diego Chargers. I'd want to go live in San Diego.
Right.
I mean, what a beautiful place to play, beautiful place to live.
Isn't he from
And
there too?
I would have.
Is he from
Huh?
California? Like, is he from
I, I,
California?
th- I I think so. I think he's a West Coast guy. But that would be a perfect spot for him to back up Phillip Rivers and eventually take Phillip Rivers' spot.
Yep.
And I don't see why in the world that if that was the case and Rosen wanted to go to San Diego, and the Chargers offered their 28th pick and maybe a next year's third, why Arizona wouldn't do that? And I don't know why the Chargers wouldn't do that. I mean, you think at the 28th pick that you're going to find your quarterback of the future to replace Phillip Rivers that's better than Josh Rosen? You are not. So that would I think all the Chargers fans would be happy with that as well.
Yeah.
Think about that. You got with the 28th pick, you're getting your quarterback to replace Phillip Rivers. I think that's a great move, and it's so good it probably won't happen. But I would trade the 28th pick to Arizona for Josh Rosen, and I think the Cardinals would be happy with that because they'd still get a first round pick for Rosen, and they get their guy in Kyler Murray, and they have the 28th pick, and then I think the Chargers, the way the math works up on the drafts, Rosen was the 10th pick, so in order to acquire the 20th pick, you'd have to give up next year's third or this year's third, to make the trade, even on both sides. So you get a third round pick as well as the 28th pick in the draft. I think that's so doable. I don't know why this hasn't happened yet. It probably will happen though on draft day. You watch. Rosen will go to the Chargers for the 28th pick, or Josh Rosen will go to Washington with the 15th pick, or the Giants at the 17th pick. That's where three destinations will be.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but at the same time, let's say Arizona does not take Kyler. I think Oakland has to take him just for trade bait because the Giants are looking for a quarterback. There's other teams looking for quarterbacks that could be like the Raiders have 4 first-round picks. If they draft him, they could trade him for two first-round picks for next year. They could easily get 10 first-round picks in the next 3 years. Like if they play their
Michael, you're 100% correct. If the draft would absolutely go crazy if Kyler Murray's not the number 1 pick, because then you'd have the Giants at 6. They might trade up to the 4th spot because Oakland might want Kyler Murray.
Right.
So now the Oakland's getting the Giants 6, getting a couple of second-round picks to move up and getting that 6th spot and trading 2 spots. That's going to be a big deal right off the bat if Kyler Murray doesn't go number 1 and Bosa's the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
The draft would get crazy right there. Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% correct.
I think the biggest player in this year's draft is Oakland. They have so many picks to play with. They have a lot of needs to fill. I mean, they do have a wide receiver that is fairly good. I don't know how good he'll be in the black and silver. They have Carr he was really good before he shattered his leg. I don't know if he'll ever be back to like what he once was. But Oakland has so many pieces. They're just missing that couple pieces, and they could be really, 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 really good. And they have so many draft picks to play with as well. So look for them to be big players in this draft, moving up and down from the number 2 pick to the 20th pick up to the 16th pick. I wouldn't be surprised if Oakland jumps 6 or 7 times, in this draft, changing picks between the first three rounds.
They're in a good spot to help their defense out with that 4th pick.
Yeah.
Because if Kyler Murray goes 1, and then basically the 3 top defensive players, Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa, and Jonathan Allen, one of those players is going to fall to the Raiders. So basically, if you're the Raiders, you just take one of those 3 that doesn't fall. I think Quinnen Williams is the best defensive player in this draft over Joey Bosa. I think Bosa gets more sacks than Quinnen Williams, but I think Quinnen Williams is the best player, if that makes sense. Jonathan Allen will probably get more sacks than Quinnen Williams. But Quinnen Williams is the J.J. Watt type, where you can line him up in the 5 technique in a 3-4. That's a defensive end in a 3-4. You can line him up in the 3 technique in the Warren Sapp position. and the Aaron Donald position, you can line him up on pass rushing situations in the zero technique over the center because he's so quick, he'll beat the center. You can, and then you have guys on the outside. You put Quinnen Williams at the nose on passing situations. Quinnen Williams is a guy that he can play all positions on the defensive front. Bosa and Allen are relegated to, outside linebacker in a 3-4, and then that's Allen, and then Bosa is an end in a 4-3 in the wide 9, or in a 6 or 7 technique for Bosa. So Quinnen Williams to me is the most versatile player in this draft. And if Oakland is sitting there and it's Kyler Murray 1, Bosa 2, Jonathan Allen 3, I guess that would be to the Jets. The Jets, that would be great for them. And the Raiders are sitting there with Quinnen Williams staring at them in the face at the 4th pick, then you just take Quinnen Williams and you plug and play Quinnen Williams on the defensive line for many years to come.
Yeah. I'm going to go on record right here saying, if Josh Allen drops out of the top 5, any team that gets him, that is a steal, 100%. I saw Josh Allen play all year this year, and he is a complete beast on the field. And he reminds me of Junior Seau so much. Like, he is a beast on the field, and he is the nicest person off the field. He was on the Kentucky Pro fishing team. So that's all. So he wants to play ball, interact with some fans, and get out on the lake and fish. So
Jonathan Allen isn't getting by the Jets, or he's not getting by the Raiders. So there's no shot. He's there at number 5 for the Buccaneers. There's no shot.
And in every hope I hope Kansas City wheels and deals somehow gets up into 3 or 4 pick. You can give them first two round picks for the next 2 years. I don't care. I want Josh Allen in red and gold.
To move up from 29 to 3, you'd have to give up your 29th, a couple of number 2s, and your next first round pick. But that's
fine
something.
By me.
And then,
it's worth it.
Yeah,
give it to him.
Yeah, and Bud Dupree was the last great Kentucky pass rusher, and he went number 16 overall to the Steelers a couple years ago, and he hasn't been a buzz. Bud Dupree's been pretty good, but Jonathan Allen is better than Bud Dupree.
Yeah, but like I said, if Kyler Murray doesn't go number 1, you could see a lot of movement happening up top, and I could easily see Josh Allen dropping out of the top, simply because everybody that wants a quarterback is going to be trying to move up, because they want Kyler Murray. Even though I don't think he's the best quarterback in the draft, I don't think he has the most upside. I think Drew Lock has the most upside in the in this draft to become a nice professional. Like, I think he has the most upside out of everybody.
Well, that's where you and I agree. I think Dwayne Haskins and Drew Lock are like kind of tied for that 1, and I think Kyler Murr's 2nd or 3rd. I mean, 3rd in that's just. Yeah, I mean, that's just our opinion.
Like
I mean,
he has kind of reached his peak. Like he can still be a really good NFL quarterback, but you are not going to see him getting, he's like right here. He is not going to be up here in 3 or 4 years. He'll still be right here. So him and say Locke or Haskins are kind of, like Kyler Murray is a step better than like they are now, but next year they're going to be 3 or 4 steps above Kyler, just because I think their work ethic is a little bit more on their side, and their height helps too. I mean, you can say height doesn't matter. He can roll out of the pocket I would take a 6'5" guy over a 5'10" guy any day of the week with similar abilities. That's just the way it is. So we're going to take one quick break, and then we're going to take NFL has released their schedules here, guys. So me and Marcus are Cowboys fans. So for all you Cowboys haters out there, we're going to break down that 16-0 schedule right after the break. Alrighty, guys, welcome back to RTF Sports Talk. New name is actually Marcus and Mike. sports talk here. So that will begin Tuesday. We'll be live on YouTube Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:00 Central Time. And of course, we'll be on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. Same link. Just going to update the name, update the info box, and all that good stuff. Be sure to leave rankings and all that good stuff as well. Preferably five stars. If not, we'll definitely improve and we'll earn that 5th star from you if you just let us know what's going on. Follow Marcus on the Twitter machine at Marcus the Freak. Follow myself on there at mbuck41. We're definitely being a lot more interactive on there. So if you guys would like some baseball updates, like if you are a Colorado Rocky fan, slide into my DMs like, hey, Michael, I want to talk about Colorado Rockies first thing. I may say maybe. I may say no. Who knows? But I'll definitely give you guys some Colorado Rockies love. I do love that purple and black. I think they're the best uniforms in Major League Baseball. That black and purple just looks good. Just looks really good. So, Marcus, as we alluded to before the break here, NFL did release the schedule yesterday afternoon. It was a primetime show on ESPN2 there for a couple hours. But some teams that we want to talk about is the Cowboys. But before we get into that, I want to hit on something real quick here. The Cleveland Browns have 3 primetime games in the first 5 weeks of the season. Do they deserve that?
No. Well, not with their history, they don't. I mean, their recent history has been, lethargic to say the least. But I'll tell you what, man, when you have a player listen, it's smart people project things, okay? And so that's what the NFL is doing. Let's hope they hit it on the head here. They have an exciting team. This is one of those weird ones where I think we talked about it before. Bad teams steal the free agency news.
Right.
Why? Because they've been bad and they need these top free agents. But usually the bad teams that steal the free agency news don't have a good quarterback. And that is not the case with the Cleveland Browns. I think they have the next Brett Favre here at quarterback and Baker Mayfield. Everything he does reminds me of Favre. He's just a little shorter than Brett Favre, but so what? Not that much shorter.
Yeah.
I think this guy's the real deal. And I think when you add what they've added to their program, I'll steal a college term there. They're going to be special. Ready for this one? I have them at 11-5.
Oh.
So I actually think the Cleveland Browns are on the way up. And when you can score the way they're going to score, they're going to put 30 on the board every game. And so their defense just has to not screw it up. So I think they're 11-5 this year. I think they're that good. We'll see what happens. So, you answer your question, do they deserve it? No, not off of past history. But if you're projecting them to be as good as I am, and I think the NFL is, they might be that. The NFL might hit something here.
Yeah, the only game I question on the primetime is they have them versus the Jets on a primetime game. I was kind of questioning that because I don't think the Jets will still be any good this year. They're probably a 5-win team tops. So hopefully that's not a total snooze fest. But yeah, I mean they do have hype. Last year I had them going 8-8. They let me down a tad bit. The ball bounced a couple ways the wrong way, on them. So they are right there. And maybe with the addition of Odell Beckham Jr., that ball will bounce right for them this year. I think 11 wins is a little bit of stretch. I haven't totally looked at their schedule fully yet because I'm not a Browns fan. But 8 or 9 wins is definitely in the realm of there.
Oh, absolutely.
But let's go to the team that you love the most, my secondary team, the Dallas Cowboys. They finished 10-6 last year, making a pretty good run, winning their first playoff game in I don't know how long, and then ultimately losing to the Rams in the divisional series there. So, Marcus, looking at the schedule, let's break it down. First of all, do you like their schedule? Do you think it's too hard? Think it's too easy? What are your thoughts on it?
I think their schedule's great, and I think the NFL has set Dallas up here to succeed. The way that they've given their games out, the way they have 11 days to prepare for the Rams after a Thursday nighter versus Chicago. Their bye is perfect. Right after they play Philly. So they play Philadelphia, then they go on a bye. So that Philadelphia game at home, right before you go on a bye, because you know you're gonna have 2 weeks off. It's usually all hands on deck. Like you have to win that game. You don't want to go into your bye week, with that bad taste in your mouth for a couple of weeks,
Yep.
right?
Especially losing to a
The,
division
the,
foe.
right, and the NFL put the Eagles there in Dallas. Think about that for a second. So they're gonna go out. They're gonna beat Philly that week. They're gonna go all out, all hands on deck that game. It gives them 2 weeks to prepare to go to the Giants on Monday Night Football. Dallas is gonna sweep the Giants this year. Think about this for a second. Dallas opens out against the Giants, right?
Right.
So they got all off season to prepare for the
Win.
great New York Giants. Just kidding. Um, and then they get 2 weeks. They get 15 days to prepare for the Giants on the next go around. So they don't play the Giants this year off a short rest or a regular 7-day week. Um, like I said before, they're going to play Chicago at Chicago. I think that's a loss. It's a Thursday night game after Thanksgiving. But then they're going to get 11 days for the Rams rematch at home. So the NFL gave the Cowboys the home game versus the Rams and 11 days rest. That's like another de facto bye. I just think that the schedule for Dallas is great. They open out Giants at Washington and Miami, right? Is there a loss in there?
I have
They're going to beat the Giants, right?
Yep.
Then they're going to, yeah, at Washington week 2. If they if they if they lose to Case Keenum, I won't watch the rest of the series. I won't watch the rest of the season.
Nice.
They're not losing at Washington. They're gonna get a Miami team at home that trying to find themselves. I think they start out 3-0. And then they got New Orleans week 4, September 29th at New Orleans on a Sunday nighter. I think that's their first loss. So the first 4 games, I have them 3-1. Their whole schedule, I have them going 12-4.
There we go. So let me hit on that Thanksgiving game for you real fast here. Normally, I would agree with you on that Thursday night game. The road team usually plays horrible on that Thursday night game, but this is a normal week for both of those teams because Chicago plays on Thanksgiving Day and Dallas plays on Thanksgiving Day. So it is a normal work week for the Bears and the Cowboys. Them like themselves, and I don't think the Cowboys are going to lose in the month of December, and that is a December 5th game, and I think they're going to win that game. So I think that's really the only where we are going to differ on this on this schedule. In that meat of the season there right after the bye week, you kind of have a semi-tough schedule. You play the Giants at New York, Vikings at Detroit, Patriots, and then the Bills, and then Chicago. If they can come out 3-3 in that stretch, I think things are going to be positive for them moving forward. So just looking at that schedule here, Giants I have win the week 1. I'm just going to go down the order here. The Redskins I have a win, Miami win, New Orleans I'm going to put that as a loss. I think New Orleans is still bitter about that loss they took at the Superdome last year. They're going to come back pretty hungry and they're going to probably give it to them. And then they play Green Bay at home. I think that is a loss as well. I think this is a revenge season for Packers. If the Packers make it to the playoffs this year, they are a Super Bowl bound team. They are going to be really hungry and just firing on all cylinders, I think, all year. I think they beat the Jets. I think the Jets are just horrible. I think they beat Philly at home. Then they beat New York on the road. And then they lose to the Vikings. I think there's just something about the Vikings that the Cowboys just they can't ever get over that hump. I don't know if it's the purple and gold or what it is, but they don't play well against them, and that is a Sunday night game as well. So it'll be a really hype game. They beat Detroit. Sorry, Pops, but Detroit sucks. They lose to the Patriots. They beat the Bills, and then they beat Chicago as well. And then they had the Rams, Philly, and Washington to end the season. I think they lose to the Rams, but they beat Philly and Washington to end the season. Have them going 11-5.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't see them losing to Green Bay at home, and I don't see them losing to Minnesota. Dak's already beaten Minnesota his rookie year at Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah, listen. Where they also give the Cowboys.
Those are the two games that I'm kind of having a toss up because I don't see them going 12 or 13 win season again. So like, I think there's going to be some hiccup, and I would feel okay losing to those two teams. So like that's why I put those as losses.
Well, you have them ending the season 4-0. I have them ending the season 2-2. But it doesn't matter because they'll already have enough wins, in my opinion, in the tank, in their tank, that they can survive a 2-2 December. They'll win that last game at Washington. That puts them at 12 wins. And then here's where I've mentioned that the NFL has done the Cowboys a favor on this schedule. Their toughest game at New England, that's a pretty tough game, November 24th at New England. Yep. But they gave them kind of an easy Thanksgiving Day game, if you can say easy. Buffalo's easy because Buffalo does play really good defense. Yeah. But so after you play New England, you got 4 days, and then you play Buffalo. It's not like a division. It's not like this tough, unbelievable. It's not a New Orleans. It's not a Philadelphia. It's not a Rams, which is great. So the Thanksgiving Day game, that's going to be one of their wins. I like the NFL for giving them Buffalo on Thanksgiving after they just play a tough New England team. Yeah. That's because if they lose to New England, which I have them losing to New England as one of their 4 losses, you get that bad taste out of your mouth 4 days later when you play Buffalo. So we only stew on the New England loss for about 3.5 days. Right. And so you're ready to play Buffalo on Thanksgiving. So I think the Cowboys schedule is tailor-made for them. I really do. 12-4, I see it. And it might come down to that final game. I think they lose at Philly on December 22nd. But that final game, December 29th, Washington at home, could be for a second seed. I could see that December 29th game, last game of the year. If they win that, they're like a number 2 seed. Yeah. And they'll be 12-4.
Yeah. Just to hit on that Thanksgiving games again, I think that day of games is kind of a snooze fest. You have Chicago at Detroit. Detroit's not going to be very good again this year. You have the Bills at Cowboys. Bills aren't very good. And then you have New Orleans at Atlanta. That might be the best game of the day. But I don't see Atlanta being very good either, this year either. So, going to be kind of a snooze fest.
I like the Atlanta New Orleans matchup. That's my favorite one of the day. I mean, obviously Cowboys, but I think the Cowboys that final right now. I know it's crazy to even predict these things, right? I mean, we're so far away, but
the draft times
I could see the Cowboys. Yeah. I could see the Cowboys winning 31-13 against the Bills on Thanksgiving, and they're going to need to because Brady will have just beaten them 4 days before, so they're going to need to get that bad taste out of their mouth and beat the Bills. So yeah, they'll win that Thanksgiving Day game. But yeah, I think the Atlanta New Orleans game isn't a bad nightcap. 7-15. I think that's a pretty good division interdivision game there.
The only thing that I am scared about is what if we beat the Patriots? What if we beat the Rams? We need a quality loss somewhere in there just to kind of keep everybody in line, keep them on track. So if you don't lose to either of those teams, who was a quality loss? Is it the Saints early in the year? Is it the Bears mid season? I
don't see them. Yeah. No, I mean I don't even want to even think about quality losses. I want them to win every single game. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying. Don't get too high up and right. And you don't want to be on all this game winning streak, and then they finally get a loss in the first round of the playoffs, and you know what I mean. I understand what you're saying, but I'm a firm believer in you go out and win every game. I don't care. I think didn't Dak and them have already gone on an 8-game winning streak his rookie year? I mean, they've already done these. Yeah. Or was it even more than that? It might have been even more than that. Was that an 11-game win streak?
They were 13-3 and they started 0-2. So.
Yeah, so they went on. They've already been on. This team and that quarterback knows what it's like to go on. I don't think that's going to deter them. I don't think that they need any quality loss. I mean, I have them losing at Philly the second to the last game of the season, but that's not going to affect them that much because I think Philly will be 9-7 or 10-6, and Dallas will still be a game ahead of Philly, and all Dallas will have to do is beat Washington on that final day, and then be 12-4.
So
But yeah, I don't see any. I don't want any quality losses. I want them to go on a hot streak. That would be awesome. I see them after the loss to New Orleans. I see them winning. They'll lose to New Orleans week 4. I see them winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 in a row before they lose at New England. That's going to be their little win streak there.
yeah, just to add some fuel to your fire here. Since 2008, I do believe there has not been a back-to-back NFC championship team like back-to-back years. So the Cowboys won the NFC East like this past year. Philadelphia was the previous year. So if history holds true, if history holds true, Dallas is not going to win the NFC East. So.
No, I think Dallas bucks that history. And before anybody gets crazy and think, oh, what are these Dallas homers talking about? 11-5, 12-4. Hey, anybody listening? Dak Prescott's won 32 games in 3 years.
Facts.
You want to do your math there?
Facts.
That's averaging near 11 wins a year for the last 3 years. So we're not. Who the hell would predict Dallas going 7-9 or 8-8? I wouldn't. You can't be that stupid. If this team has won 32 games in 3 years, so. You know what I mean? In other words, we're not making this pick. Our team hasn't gone 6-10, 6-10, 6-10, and then we're picking them to go 12-4. There is a track record there of really good regular season football, and I think Dak Prescott is second to Tom Brady with 32 wins. Ben Roethlisberger and Breeze are third and fourth with 31 wins.
There you go.
So Dak's in pretty high company, and I think that he wins. I think he gets 12 victories, and you're saying 11. That's about right on par with what he's averaged, 32 victories. So I don't think that's any, out of the realm of possibility here. 32 victories in 3 years. Let me tell you something. If you drafted a quarterback and you said, hey, we're going to win 32 games every 3 years, you'd say, where do I sign up?
Yeah, exactly.
And then also, I'll be honest with you, that first playoff game Dak played in against the Packers, he played really well. You know who lost that game? Jason Garrett.
Right.
He gave Aaron Rodgers too much time, and I still remember it. I visualize it. Dak threw a long pass to, I can't remember the player, but they told Dak in his headset to clock it, down it. No. You've got the Packers on their heels. That next play should not be a clock it. Stop the clock so Aaron can get the ball. Aaron, why do you want to give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers? You'd have hand the ball off to Zeke and run a play there. So I think the clock management, Jason Garrett blew that. It wasn't Dak Prescott blowing that game. That was Jason Garrett. So Dak Prescott should have more playoff wins.
Yeah.
But, he plays for Jason Garrett. So, Jason Garrett's mismanaged the clock his entire career. Matter of fact, Jason Garrett's iced his own kicker. So I can go on a tangent about how Jason Garrett doesn't know clock management, the Princeton guy.
There we go. But maybe we could do that on a Friday afternoon when sports season is like a little low.
I'm getting all riled up.
But just to add to your point here, he has also had a full offseason with Amari Cooper. He's had a full offseason now with Randall Cobb. Arguably, two really good wide receivers, maybe the top 10 wide receivers in the league, just depending on how they perform. And you have a full offseason with both those guys, with Zeke Elliott and a healthy offensive line. We are not reaching at all. I mean, even a 13-3 season, you would not be reaching. They are going to be solid this year. The hype train on the Cowboys are going to be. It is going to be live. I mean, they are easily a Super Bowl contending team. So, I'm calling it now. Chiefs and Cowboys, Super Bowl.
And I think the Chiefs have the best 1-2 wide receiver combination in all of football.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking. I'm talking about Tyreek Hill and their tight end.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about necessarily the two receivers.
Kelce.
I like saying,
Travis
Kelce.
Yep.
Can you name me a better tight end wide receiver connection?
Nope.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I mean, so Pat Mahomes, as great as he is, he's got those two in his favor. I would love to have that for the Cowboys, but Tyreek Hill and Kelce are the best wide receiver tight end combo in football.
Yeah, and I think this year, if Jason plays like he can and like he has, him and Amari Cooper could be that 1-2 punch too, like as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And then, I mean, and Jason Witten's on the downside of his career. He's not as athletic as Travis Kelce or Zach Ertz. We're not pretending that, but there is not a better player at 2nd and 5 or 3rd and 5. Amari Cooper is running his route. You got Zeke out of the backfield, and you got Randall Cobb in the slot.
Yeah.
The guy that's going to be easy to throw to is Jason 6'5.5" Paul Bunyan, Jason Witten, and he moves the chains.
And you still have Zeke rolling out of the backfield into the flats.
That's what I'm mentioning.
Stop
us.
We
really missed that.
You can't.
Yeah, we really missed that in the playoff game.
Yeah.
Against the Rams. We missed Jason Witten getting those 2nd and 5s and 3rd and 5s. Yeah. We missed that big time.
We were really one-dimensional in that game.
Yeah.
Really one-dimensional. So, guys, that is the Cowboys schedule for this year. Maybe tomorrow we'll break down my Kansas City Chiefs and maybe Houston as well, just to kind of obviously this is way too early. The draft hasn't happened. The Chiefs could trade away all their picks and move up there and get Josh Allen, and they could be the most dominant defense in all of football. But that's not going to happen. Let's be honest. They're going to draft the offensive line with that 29th pick or something like that. But, guys, that is the show for today. Well, like I said, RTF Sports Talk is transitioning, rebranding into the Marcus and Mike show. We'll be live on YouTube Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 4 p.m. for the foreseeable future until football season starts, at least. So, rest of April, May, June, and July. So, Marcus, any closing thoughts before we head out, man?
No, I'm just going to get ready and head to this Spurs game. We'll see what happens. Spurs will take control of this game. Hopefully we'll come back and we'll be up 2-1 in the series. I fully expect the Spurs to do just that. So we'll see. I'm excited tonight. All 3 of the games are really good tonight. Let's see how Kevin Durant responds against it. Now it's in Clipperland.
I hope he stubs his big toe.
God,
just like
that guy. What a baby.
Me.
And then also we'll see how how Philadelphia responds. Being tied up 1-1, going to Brooklyn, the Nets game. I think all 3 of these games are really intriguing.
Yeah, and guys, if Marcus isn't on the show tomorrow, you guys know the Spurs lost, and he is still curled up in that ball and like in the corner.
Yeah, I'll be upset.
Why? No, I'm just kidding. But guys, join us tomorrow. It'll be the normal time tomorrow, 1:45 East Coast time.